welcome to the Soulish Podcast. My name is Whitney Apke and I am your host. On the Soulish Podcast, we talk about the soul journey as well as the body, soul, spirit connection and all of the things in between, all the ish. And that's one thing that I love about this podcast that I don't think I fully planned for, but I was just kind of in a place where I was kind of unloading and really working through some soul-ish. I was getting out of a long-term relationship. I was leaving Christianity and coming more into spirituality and really wasn't aware of that at the time. I was kind of still in the journey and in the beginning parts, but I just was kind of in this place of coming off of the tail end of my Saturn return. There were so many things happening when I started this podcast, and it was really honestly like Holy Spirit or guided or the divine, whatever you want to say, whatever you, believe or feel in alignment with. But I got this total download. I was really, really asking. I was laying face down on my bed and I was just crying. And I was just like, hey, I have a purpose to fulfill and I'm not doing it. I'm working a 9 to 5. I'm not in ministry anymore. I've left Christianity, in that sense, or taking a break was what I thought. And I really am in this place where I am feeling that call to serve others, but yet I have no outlet to do so because I've only ever known this in this box of Christianity. So how do I serve others? Like, I'm kind, I'm giving, I donate, but I'm not like living my purpose. How do I live my purpose? And so that's kind of how the podcast was birthed. It was an outlet for me to not only serve others and share from my experiences and my wisdom, but also share others and bring on guests. And gosh, my first guest episode, I was terrified. Amber Romaniak, man, she's awesome. It really taught me as I was getting in with talking with different people about different things, body, soul, spirit, mind, emotions, will, like all those things. As I was getting into it, I didn't realize that I was going to benefit so much. I thought I was serving others and benefiting others purely, and I had no idea that I would benefit so much from interviewing people and also sharing what I was kind of dealing with in the transition. And so that's where the Soulish Podcast came from, in case you wondered, from back in the early days of 2020, right before or right when COVID really hit. And I just was like, I feel a call. And it dropped in me, do a podcast. Had no clue how to do a podcast. Had no clue really what a podcast was. I was like, isn't it kind of like radio, but like pre-recorded radio? Like, I had no idea. No idea. Had hardly probably even listened to a podcast. And then all of a sudden podcasts started coming to me. I started listening. So it was just really funny in the journey and how things happen like that. I felt totally like an imposter, totally disqualified, unqualified. Here I am in a transition and I know nothing of spirituality, apart from the spirituality that I got from Christianity and religion. And here I am trying to navigate, opening boxes and coming out of them and, all the things. So this podcast has really been an amazing platform, and to see the impact that it's had on other people's lives, how it's encouraged people, inspired people, brought up different conversations and topics that are, bringing things up within others to heal, to connect with, to explore, to think about, to ponder, to reflect. It's been amazing. It's been fucking amazing. So I just feel so honored and privileged to have you, my listeners, whether you've been with me from the beginning 2 years ago or you're with me now and you're just coming on to this episode. Thank you for being here. And I'm just so honored to have this platform. And it means so much to me to serve you, to serve others. So with that being said, today's episode is a solo episode with me, and I really have been feeling on my heart, there's just been this current of self-love and that working into our authenticity and that working into how we heal and connect and then how we then go on and rediscover purpose, or discover purpose, how we then move on from that and we actually start living and enjoying and connecting with others, with the universe, source, God, and how we create or recreate a different reality, a different life, because we're coming into a place of more love, which is more authenticity. I don't think that the two are separate. I think that when we love ourselves and we love others, that's the most authentic that we could ever be, is love. Hello, Soulish Tribe. So I know that I'm not alone and always feeling thirsty. Even though I hydrate throughout the day, I'm always feeling that I need more water, especially after those cycling classes. My friends James and Mark over at Zaka have the perfect solution. Zaka's Hydration and Liver Aid is the #1 recovery and hydration solution for working out, jet lag, or drinking maybe just a little too much. Zaka uses herbs such as Japanese raisin as well as other natural and fermented ingredients that are safe and without artificial flavors. Zaka is unique because it doesn't just replenish what your body needs, but also supports your body's natural ability to recover. It's 2 very, very yummy and berry chewable tablets that you can put under your tongue or chew up and swallow. Go to Zaka.com, that's ZACA.com, and use promo code SOULISH15 to get 15% off of your order. We live in a world where truth can be relative, even, based off of people's perspectives, experiences, and all of that. And we definitely, I glean so much from other perspectives. I mean, that this is the podcast, this is the platform, this is what we do. We listen to other people's perspectives as well as you listen to mine. And you come from a different perspective or background, so I think it's really cool that we have that. So truth, even though truth is, right, truth, and I grew up believing and thinking that truth is not relative. What I've realized is truth is relative, but there is one constant in that, and that is love. So love is constant. Love is authentic. Love is real. Love is the most authentic thing on this earth, planet, universe, in this reality, It may be all realities, all dimensions, all spaces, but love is. So when we love ourselves, we're coming into this really authentic, most highest reality of self, idea of self, perspective of self, and perspective of others, the world, God, source, universe, spirit, whatever you want to say, right? Whatever you agree with. So in that, what I've kind of realized is in this transition, I've been in a long-term transition. It's been 7 years of a transition from Christianity into spirituality. And I would even still classify myself technically as a Christian, but there are some core beliefs that I definitely have tossed up in the air. There's things that I haven't landed on, that I haven't decided are yay or nay. There are things that I still am discovering or rediscovering or rethinking about or chewing on some more before I land on what I believe, right? And for my whole life, it was you have to state your beliefs. I believe in the Trinity, right? I believe that Jesus died on a cross to save us from our sin, and all these things. You have to confess Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, right? And those are fundamental. To think for a second that Jesus and Mary Magdalene had a baby, have a daughter, and maybe more kids, I'm like, whoa. To even consider that Mary and Joseph did the deed and that she wasn't a virgin mother, that's going to upset a whole lot of people. Please don't come at me. But, it's all these major things, fundamental core beliefs of Christianity, even Catholicism, or even, I don't know, Islam. Would Islam get upset? I have no idea what they believe as far as the Virgin Mary. But I think that it's interesting to consider whether or not these things are indeed true. Because back in the day, if you were a non-virgin bride, which they did check you as a woman, they would check you to make sure that your hymen wasn't broken. If it was broken, then they considered you not a virgin. And then you would either lose out on that marriage and have a lower class marriage or never get married. And it's like, man, you can break your hymen in so many other ways. Like there's so many, for some people, it's really easy to break. Others, it's not. So, you know, God forbid you have a really hard ride on or a long ride on a horse and it breaks that way. I mean, you just don't know. So for her to not be a virgin mother would have been a big deal. And it was already a big deal that she was pregnant. I'm sure she went through a lot of shit back in the day. And Joseph is a man for sticking with her. And perhaps he stuck with her because he was the one who impregnated her, and he took responsibility for that and was like, I'm not going to abandon this woman that I love, that I care for. Because back in the day, you also had to wait a year. It was a year engagement. And for some people, that's no big deal. But in this day and age, most people they're not doing it during that year of engagement, right? Like it's kind of uncommon for you to have a long engagement and to not already live together, be sleeping together, that kind of thing. This was a year-long engagement. Nothing. Nada. You couldn't even probably hold hands, back in the day. So that's really hard if you love somebody. And I don't know the circumstances, what they would have been, but maybe they did it, who knows? But here's the thing is that when we reconsider these huge core beliefs in ourselves, now these are some of mine that I grew up with, but you may have your own. You may have core beliefs around, your worth, your authenticity, what that looks like. You may have core beliefs around who you are, what you are, your skin color, right? Your race, your gender. There may be core beliefs that you have that you haven't ever reconsidered or thought differently about, tossed up and said, you know what? Let me just kind of release that to the wind and see where everything blows down into and rests inside of me. Let's see what I actually feel, like have a body reaction to, that I feel. You know what I mean? So I think it's really interesting to look at these ideas. And even though these are some of mine, it would be heresy. It is heresy, technically, in the Christian world, maybe even Catholic world and another world, to even consider that. But those are some things that I've actually tossed up, that I've been like, you know what? I've believed this just because I was told, because it's in the Bible. That's what somebody wrote a letter about, and so somebody told somebody wrote a letter, and now it's in a book that we say is, completely infallible. Um, and so, but what do I feel about that? Where does that sit in me? How do I feel about that? Do I have a body reaction to her being that? And how does that affect me? How does that influence me? For me, there's a lot there, just being a woman and the stereotype and the patriarchal society and the control over women in our bodies. I have an issue with that, because I believe that we deserve the same freedom and rights as anyone, and that's any race, any gender deserves total body autonomy and freedom, freedom to express, freedom to be, freedom to move, to live, to have your being. I just believe everybody deserves freedom. So in anywhere where there's a limitation because of gender or race or anything, man, it could be any background, anything, anywhere where you're told that you can't because of d, or dot, like I'm not cool with. I'm just like, no, like that statement, you can't even finish that. Like that's not allowed. It's not allowed for anyone to tell anybody what to do, in my personal opinion. So life is sacred. How we live our life is sacred. What we choose to experience in this life is sacred. And so I value life above all. So I just think that it's a non-extreme way of taking away someone's right to live. It's we're big right now on gun violence and shooting, and I am not going to give my opinion on that because y'all don't need it. We have enough opinions rolling around everywhere. But bottom line, life is sacred. All life is sacred. Animals included, right? Plant life included, although that's why I don't have a living plant in my apartment because I kill. I don't mean to. I either just, I read the instructions and I spritz too. Like I take the time to spritz. And I just have no luck. I need to get a cactus after those episodes with Alex and he talked about the cactus and the meaning and I was like, I need to get a cactus. I still need to get a cactus because I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't kill. I've killed succulents. I don't know how you can kill a succulent. It's the easiest thing to not kill. For whatever reason, I have no luck, but I desperately want to be a gardener. Side note, all life is important, is sacred, is highly valuable. So in any way that we're taking away right to live, right to be, I think that I have a problem with that, and you may not. You may also share that same problem, issue. So when we're coming from this place of love, when we're coming from this place of authenticity, when we're coming from this place of rediscovering truth, rediscovering how we feel about things, what we truly believe about things, we're kind of unearthing things that we've been told since childhood, maybe that aren't true, or we've never actually considered if it is or not, because we've just been told our whole lives this is true, this isn't true. When we do that, what does that look like? How does that feel when we reconsider, when we toss things up and you may be ostracized? I know I could get a lot of hate for even saying some of the things that I've said. Um, but I'm just in this place of reconsidering, of rediscovering, of asking the questions. And it's not to attack, it's not to assault, it's not to diminish value and meaning to something. I or someone, I just want to rediscover for myself what I feel is true, what reacts inside of me, because at the end of the day, I want to live in total authenticity. I don't want one place within me at the end of my life to be conditioning, programming. Now, this may be like a lofty, desire, maybe a lofty aspiration, but I really just want to spend my life in working on anything that would be pre-programmed, anything that would be conditioning, even if that's around body image, being a woman and how I'm supposed to act, be around being white, or mixed race. I'm mixed. But my skin is white, right? So being blonde, blue-eyed, like whatever around my body and what I look like, right? And then down to, having a legacy of Christian pastors in the Apke family, and leaving Christianity, quote unquote, and being more into spirituality and all of that, what that looks like, and feeling not understood or not accepted because of that, not loved. My trauma response, trigger response is to fawn. I fawn all over the place because it has been my worst fear and nightmare. And this is the only reason why I'd ever lie as a kid or do something as a kid to cover up what I had just done, because I was so afraid of losing love, of not being loved because I fucked up. I made a mistake or something. My parents always used to joke, like with Aaron, he'd come and he'd confess. With me, they'd have to hire detectives to figure out who done it. Which it wasn't hard to figure out when you have two kids and one is clearly the one who's going to be upfront and honest, and I'm the one who's like, oh God, like the dog did it, the neighbor, anybody else but me, don't hate me, don't lose love or respect or affection. Like, I believed that love was conditional, regardless of what anyone could tell me. It was my experience that I had to do in order to be loved. And I had that over and over and over again proven to me as a kid, because I would get praise and I would get love and affection and I would get noticed or recognized or acknowledged when I did something right. Right? I mean, most of us did. I'm not alone. And so for me, I fawn, 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 fawn. And so coming into that place of what is your trigger response? What is your authenticity? Being afraid of stepping out of what you've been taught and programmed because of maybe you won't be accepted, maybe you'll be ostracized, maybe you'll be hated, maybe you'll get, bad comments on your YouTube channel, or your social media, whatever, for speaking out or for sharing what your journey is and what your thoughts are on something. It's really difficult. It's really hard. It's one of the reasons why most of us stay silent and why most of us don't share, because in the world of sharing everything, sharing, you don't get much love for all the time. I mean, it's rare, Um, a lot of people that share big things that they're doing or controversial things, they get a lot of mixed reviews, mixed comments, some not so nice. So I think that that can keep us because we're afraid of what's going to come to us, what people are going to say when we open up and when we share. And there is a reality that when you share something like I do here on this platform, that I'm going to get negative comments, that I'm going to get whatever, hate mail or whatever, right? Like I haven't in a huge extent yet. Um, but I know, like, I mean, just personally, my brother did, I know that other people that are friends of mine that have gone from religion into more spirituality or have been more like atheist agnostic, they've gotten a lot of, mixed reviews or not so much support. So that can be one way that we end up not sharing, and that is a reality that you have to just kind of go in expecting. But I always put this intention of, hey, I am not looking for a fight or an argument or debate. I am not a good debater. I suck at debating. It is not my skill, nor my desire, nor anything. So facts are facts. Cool. You can spout facts. You can do whatever. You can tell me how you didn't like what I said, but that's on you, And I kind of put the intention out of I am here just to raise awareness of, also just questioning things. And that's what this podcast has been from the beginning. So I feel like because there's that intention and expectation, and I haven't received much hate, but I feel like anyone can do the same thing. We can always preface with, hey, this is my intention in sharing this. And I feel like that goes a long way. And most people that do that don't end up receiving so much hate or lack of support. So, in stepping into your authenticity, you have to look at what are my barriers? What is keeping me back? Is it that? Is it that I may get negative feedback? I may not be loved in return. I may not be accepted. I may be negatively talked about or negatively viewed. Is that it? Is it that you haven't figured it out yet? And so that's holding you back because you want to share or become public when you've kind of fully formed, your beliefs and or what you feel or think or want to be or do. It could be anything, but I think it's really good looking at your barriers. What's a barrier to you stepping and actually living your authenticity as you become aware of what is more authentic to you, more in alignment to you. I think that it's really hard to come from that place of that everything has to be totally perfect and ready and like baked, fully baked, all ingredients in there in the oven, ding, baked, cool. Now I can share this with everyone. I think that there's wisdom in that for a lot of things, but I think in living your authenticity, sometimes it's that it comes in pieces, and sometimes your journey of authenticity is you actually taking steps like as you discover things, integrating those things into your daily life and walking that out and discovering more about yourself. I mean, that's part of how I ended up kind of walking away from Christian ministry, even though I'm a licensed pastor, was a youth pastor for several years, worked with young adults as well in the end of my Christian ministry. And it was a walk. I actually look back now and I can see in the little ways that I started to slowly move away because I was trying to figure out why things weren't happening that should be happening, why I wasn't seeing the results within myself as well as within others, where I was feeling repressed sexually, repressed as a woman, and or oppressed as a woman, and but also in ministry so limited. And I was sick and tired of this political bullshit and someone telling me what was going to happen, but not asking my opinion, when I've been in this ministry for 3+ years. It's just things like that where it's like this patriarchal society and then all this drama coming to my door, and I'm like, dude, I don't want any of this. And I didn't even want to sign up for this particular ministry. I wanted to be a part of it, but I didn't want to lead this, but I was asked, and because I love people and I didn't want the ship to go down, I said yes, I'll take the wheel, you know? But like, I don't want any of this that's being created right now out of thin air. And I'm not down. Like, I'm just not down for the political bullshit that happens within Christian ministry. It's just ridiculous. It kills the joy if you're like all about people and all about serving others. It really does. So that exists everywhere. I'm sorry. You can't say that it doesn't. It doesn't exist in my church. It so does. I've been around too much to tell you that, oh, it may not exist in your church, so don't feel too bad. No, it exists in every religion. It also exists in spirituality. It exists everywhere. Politics and people ladder climbing and trying to dominate and take over, and you know what I mean? Like, that exists everywhere. So that's people unhealed that need healing. Like that. I mean, that's everyone, right? Like, we all need healing to some extent. So I think that when you start to realize that this is a long journey, this was a long journey for me. I took small steps, still within the box, kind of walked to the door, unlocked the door, cracked the door open, looked through the crack. I mean, it was like a long way for me to exit that house of Christianity that had been built. It was a safety. I felt safe in knowing what I believe, and also my family, my parents being a part of it. I felt accepted, brought into the tribe. Right, we're all in this together. Right, so I think that it's really hard to follow your authenticity when it leads you outside of your safety, what you feel is safe, that safety that has been constructed, programmed, conditioned in you, of like, you leave this, you're no longer safe. You venture out too far, you're going to drown. And it's actually not true, because I believe that we are always divinely guided, always divinely protected. We are sovereign divine beings. We are all gods and goddesses, right? So there is no lack of safety in you following your intuition and your inner guidance system, and following what feels authentic. Now, you may try something out and realize, that's not authentic to me. Okay, I wasn't sure, but now that I'm in this environment, or I did this, I made this choice, this decision, I thought it might be what feels right to me, but no, it actually doesn't. So why didn't that result happen, of feeling right and in alignment? Why did that happen? Um, and then you kind of figure out, like, oh, it wasn't necessarily authentic. It was just something that I was having a triggered response to, so obviously I need to heal that, right? So there's different things when you navigate this that you realize. Like, I realized there was a lot of hurt. There was a lot of things that had pissed me off for years that I just kind of shoved under, was like, oh, well, makes excuses for, rationalized, or just kind of chopped up to, like, God just hasn't chosen me yet, or I'm just not qualified. Like, for me, I always go back to what I'm not qualified or not worthy of or not enough for. So I always did that. And when I realized how many years that I had basically believed that it was me, that it was something wrong with me and not the system or not the religion or not the culture or society, the belief. When I realized how much damage I had done to myself, I was like, fuck, this is going to take years to heal. This is going to take years of reprogramming, of deprogramming, of healing, of forgiving myself, forgiving others. Like, this is going to take years. And then I just really heard my guides. One of my guardian angels, Herrick, he's been with me all my life, and he was like, I really strongly heard him say, don't do that. Don't put that expectation out there. Don't assume this is going to take years or like your whole life. You can actually heal this now. You can begin the process of healing it. It doesn't have to take years. It's like, you're right. You're right. It doesn't have to take years. Got it. Cool. Well, I'll get off that. I'll get off that little box of expectations then and rediscover what could be. And I realized that as I was as things were being illuminated to me and I was coming into my authenticity, that was how I did it. Was once I discovered something, I would then I would start to integrate and actually live it, live that truth, live that love, right? That self love, live that truth, that authenticity, that aha moment. I would immediately integrate it into my life. So then, how does this change me? How does this change how I talk? How does this change how I live? How does this change how I view others, how I view myself, how I view God, how I view, the work that I want to do, the purpose that I feel, energy work, energy healing, spiritual coaching, mentoring? How does this impact all parts of who I am? And so I think that's huge. That's how you kind of walk this out, is everything that comes to you, that is revealed, that is rediscovered, everything that you kind of come to this aha epiphany moment where you realize, this is more authentic to who I am. You integrate it. And this is how you start creating or recreating your reality. So my reality was, I'm limited. I'm not enough. I'm unworthy. There's something wrong with me. I just am, I'm clumsy. I fuck up. I fawn. I'll never be enough. I'll never find the right person to be a partner with for life, right? Like I just assume like this is just all the things that are going to happen. But I think that recreating your reality is actually integrating it into all parts of your life. And I still wasn't living authentically, like 1000% authentically, because I couldn't share it with my family. I couldn't share things with others. Like I really had to keep things and that portion of my relationship or what I was thinking about religion and Christianity, I had to keep that to myself. There was things that I could not share with others. It's just a process of coming into your authenticity, and you don't have to feel like an imposter just because you're living it out, in real life, in real time. What else is life meant for than living out your authenticity in real time as you're figuring it out, as you're discovering, as you're rediscovering? I think the safety in doing that is saying, I don't know everything. And just because I've discovered this angle of this, I still haven't seen the wholeness of it yet. I'm still discovering what this means and what this means to me, what this means in my view of the world, of others, right? Like in myself, God, source, universe. Like I say all the time, I don't know. I'm still working that out. And I have no problem saying that. Years ago, I would have. Years ago, I would have felt like, oh, you're automatically disqualified because you don't know what you believe. Different things like that come up all the time in our life. And if we want to recreate our reality, if you're unhappy with your life, if you feel like you're not being authentic and real in who you are, and this is something that you have wanted, that you have craved, is living your authentic life, but you're scared to death to step out, I just want to encourage you, do it in these little steps. That's what I did. I was super afraid. I wasn't sure if I was going to get backlash. I wasn't sure if I was going to get hate. I didn't know what was going to happen. If my family was going to, totally abandon me, reject me, like I've always feared. I had no idea. And I still don't. I mean, there's things that I still haven't come out with, or been totally honest about, because honestly, I think for me, where it comes from is I'm afraid of hurting my family or hurting others by coming out with what is true to me, because at the end of the day, I don't want to negatively impact anyone. I want to only positively impact others. So I think that's where it's great to have that heart. It's not great when it causes you or makes you diminish, dismiss, belittle, even degrade, to ignore what you feel is true, authentic, and real to you, and is keeping you from living that authenticity. So that's where I think I'm still working it out, y'all. Like, I'll tell you right now, I'm still working out the authenticity, living it out, but I'm doing it piece by piece, bit by bit. Each little thing that I get that I'm going, oh my gosh, aha, whoa, didn't think of that at all. Never even had that perspective or saw that way. Wow, how does that impact me? And when I feel like that is resonating, that is singing to me, in all levels, I'm having like a full body reaction in response to that. When I have that and I know that this is something I need to integrate into my life, that's when I then start living it out and integrating it into all parts of who I am, body, soul, and spirit. And that's also kind of the test that I do of like, where does this sit in me in all parts of myself? Does it feel like it aligns and that it's authentic to me in all parts? Because some things that we experience could feel right energetically, but physically your body's not ready for it, right? Physically, your soul, your mind, emotions, and will are not ready for it. So you're like having an energetic spiritual experience and all of that, and you're having this aha energetic spiritual moment, but yet your body is like, no. Why is that? Is there healing that needs to take place? Is there reconnection that needs to take place? Is there trust that needs to take place? Right? So that's where you really want to take the time to figure it out, to let it hit all parts of you and see if all parts resonate. And if they don't, if there's a resistance to something, then why? Why is there resistance? Going deep into that, because that's where you'll discover what either needs healing or if this really isn't authentic to you. And this was just an interesting experience, interesting thought, but it's not aligning. It's not singing. Then you can kind of go, okay, so we're gonna put that to the side. I put it in the I don't know box. Like it resonates in one part of me, in one or two other parts of me, it doesn't resonate. And if something doesn't resonate at all, I just put it in the not for me box. You know, it's like, okay, that's just not for me. So we'll just put it over here. Doesn't mean it's not true. Doesn't mean it has no, um, importance or truth for other people or benefits others. It just doesn't benefit me right now. It doesn't align. It's not singing to me. So it's just not for me. And sometimes those not for me things are for you, become for you later on once things start to come into space and into alignment. So I hope this is making sense, because it's really just a process. Stepping into your authenticity, recreating or creating a different reality that is more authentic, more in alignment, is a process, is a journey. And I think when we feel those barriers around different things, integrating as you feel led to, integrating as you feel like it's time for, is important. And really just being divinely guided, intuitively guided is key, because that's where your authenticity comes from anyway, is from your gut, is from your solar plexus chakra. That's where intuition, where you're guided, where it helps you to navigate what is true, what is good, what is helpful, what is for you right now, what is for you later, maybe, or maybe not now, maybe not in this life. Maybe that's in that box of not for me right now, and it will be in your next life. Who knows, right? Like, this is a journey, and this is what we came here to do. We came here to heal. We came here to reconnect. We came here to transmute, to shift, and to step into our authenticity. There's a reason why I was born, raised, brought up in the Christian religion. There's a reason for it. I highly value it. There is nothing about my upbringing that I resent, no part of it that I wish I had never experienced. No, I totally value and am so grateful that I chose this, because it's caused me to rise to a new place of empowerment, a new place of getting over that need to fawn, that need to lay down on the floor for someone to walk over me so that they don't get their feet wet in the puddle, um, to serve at this level of self-sacrifice that I'm just not willing to do anymore. I think that has been so highly valuable for my personality type, for what I'm called to do as a healer. I am not meant to sacrifice myself, right? And that's what I have always believed, because Jesus, ultimate, right, love, self-sacrificial love. And I don't diminish what he did. I highly value what he did, but I'm not called to do that. I'm called to be empowered. I'm called to live a divinely guided, authentic, real life at the expense of no one, including myself. And so, with that, I step into my power, I step into my authority. And this is how I shift things within myself, shift things within the planet. And that is what I'm called to do, period. I am called to shift, to heal, to transmute, to transcend. That's what I'm called to do on this planet. I am a healer. That is what I'm meant to do. I'm meant to help the world heal, to support healing on this planet. And so, with that, it starts with me. And I had a mountain to climb, as we all do. And so, knowing that you have this mountain to climb from the beginning, you chose that mountain. That mountain didn't choose you, you chose it. You are not a victim to anything, not to any reality, not to any perspective, not to any belief. You are not a victim. And so to realize, like, got it. That's so empowering. That's so encouraging that I chose this mountain. I chose all of these conditionings and programmings and beliefs and experiences that were going to cause me to question, cause me to wonder if I'm worthy or enough, or that I have a purpose, that it's causing you to question who you are, because that's how you rediscover who you are, or discover who you are, discover your purpose, is by asking those questions, of having truth come to the surface by sometimes adversity, sometimes challenge, sometimes struggle. Sometimes things come to us easy, but a lot of things come to us in challenge, in transition. When we feel unstable, that's when we start to kind of question, wait, is where I am where I'm meant to be? And that's a good question to ask. So, with this, and stepping more into your authenticity, in creating from that place of authenticity, understanding that it's a process, and that it's a process of integrating truth, of integrating your authenticity, what you're in alignment with in all parts of yourself, is key. And so I hope that this helps you and kind of inspires this conversation to have more of these kinds of conversations around authenticity and what it is to step in, to discover, to understand that it's a process. It's not a microwave, thing. Like I said on Alex's episode, I just want to nuke everyone and everything. I like hate seeing people suffer, being in pain. I want to nuke everyone through their process of healing, and that's not meant for people. We are not meant to be nuked and in 30 seconds have a shift. Now, miracles do happen, and that's great, but miracles aren't necessarily meant to be a bypass, right, to the work, to the process, to the journey, because it's in the journey that we fully integrate, that we fully begin to live and step into our authenticity. And that is key to the process of authenticity. Authenticity isn't just a boom bang, microwave nuke moment. There's moments of ahas, of, oh my gosh, but realizations, right? But that's like the beginning of the process. That's the invitation into the process, not the end result. So the end result is living and recreating, and we're always going to be doing that, and that's okay. And it's okay to not know everything. It's okay to not know the destination, but to just know, I don't know, but I just feel this. I just feel like this is in alignment with me. I just feel like this is for me right now. So I'm going to sit in this, or I'm going to walk this out, or I'm going to start to integrate this and let this soak into all parts of who I am and see where it lands. And that's okay. That's good. And so I just want to encourage you guys with that. So I love you all so much. Go out there and really soak in your authenticity. And I just want to encourage you to be brave. Be brave. Trust your inner guidance system. Trust your intuition above all. Not what someone else says, not even me. Trust your inner guidance system. Trust your intuition. Because when we do that, it doesn't go wrong, like things can still be challenging, not easy, but when you trust your inner guidance system, when you reconnect with who you are, your intuition, that's how you can be guided through this process and begin integrating and actually seeing and feeling the results of having peace, of having joy, of having contentment, of having fulfillment in your life and living your purpose, which is ultimately what we're here to do. Enjoy and have purpose, live our purpose, and experience life. That's what we came here to do, period, in all different kinds of expressions. So I love you all so much, and I hope this episode inspired you, encouraged you, uplifted you, and you feel empowered to be your authentic self and to create from authenticity. Love you all.